Hey everybody, welcome to episode 13 of how to make a turn-based RPG. Today we're going to get right in here and we are going to get rid of some things that we're displaying. So inside of our base level system, we're going to remove our experience bar display, and in our stat modifier brain, we're going to destroy this line of code, display base damage. And what we want to do essentially is create our combat system, our combat menu system. We don't want to display the health above their head. We don't need to display their, we can go ahead and display their health numerically above their head for now. We'll leave that there. But what we want to do is we want to work on this player turn. Right now when we press A, we go to the attack page. When we press Y, we go to the shoot page. And we press B, we end our turn. What we're going to do is we're going to use this player turn page still, but we are going to make this a list rather than button commands. So first thing that we want to do is we want to make our call values page. So here we go. Once, do, call page, and of course we will go to page 2. We're going to insert page. I'm going to rename this page values, and we're going to call the page that we just made called values. Okay, so we come here, and a few things that we need to do. We need to say what commands do we have. We have attack, shoot, and right now end turn. So what we'll do is we'll go list size, and for now it'll just be a hard number, and we'll call it 3. Okay, list size equals 3, because what we're going to do, we're going to use this list size and we are going to make a for each of loop for each of list size. Okay, and we're going to say, what do we do with this list size? Well, the first thing we want to say is we want to display, and we're going to say a numeric variable text called command, and we'll say we'll make a location. We'll actually make this a world position. Okay, and I'll tell you why. What we're going to do is we're going to make this show up. We'll say to the right of the character. Okay, this will be basically a box that shows up to the right of the character. So let's make this here. Let's say this is our command menu. We're going to say command menu X equals, let's say 5. Yeah, we'll say it's 5. Command menu X equals 5. Command menu Y equals 5. So it's going to be up 5 and right 5. And we're going to use a world position, as I said, because we're going to make this display next to the character. So we'll say at world position, and we'll say center position. So based on, actually maybe we'll say the head position. I feel like it'll come out a little more even. Plus command menu. Okay, so what this means is it's going to be this, whatever this variable is relative to the position of my head. And right now that is over to the right 5, and it is up 5. Okay, and we may need to change things up depending on what it looks like, but we'll go with that for now. And let's see, let's do this. Every time we have a new list, we need to call page. Every time we go through the list, we need to call page. Let's see, call page, and let's go insert another page, and we'll rename this page and we'll call it commands. Okay, so we come back here, we're gonna For every time we go through our list, we're going to call page commands. And we're going to make a new number, and we're going to say current index, but let's make the number first, and we'll say what command. So it's saying what command do we need to get? What command equals current index, okay? So on this page, we're going to come here, it's going to call it, okay? So remember we described call. It's going to get this value, then call that page. What command equals current index? The first time we go through it, it's going to get that. What command, let's see, what command is equal to 1, we'll say command, this one that we made earlier, and we're going to lowercase that. Command equals, we'll say attack. And we'll make 3 of these, okay? When what command equals the second command, when what command equals the third command, we had what? We had shoot, and I believe we had run, or we'll say pass. Attack, shoot, pass. Now, right now what we have is we have 3 lines of code being displayed on this same spot. So what we want is we want to make that number that we made last time, a number similar to what we made last time. That's it's basically a spacing, or yeah, I would say a spacing. So we're gonna make this new variable called command line spacing. Command line spacing equals, we'll say it's y, because we want it to go down, equals, we'll say, thinking about relative to the world, how about, we'll just say 2 for now, and we'll see what happens, okay? Command line spacing, y equals 2. So we're going to say plus command line spacing, and we will, now, every time we go through this, command line spacing y equals, we actually want this to start out as 0, but what we want, and we need to make a numeric variable called command line spacing and we need to make it equal to 2. Okay? So now we say, each time we go through this loop, command line spacing y equals command line spacing y plus 2. But we actually want to make this negative. Okay? Makes sense? So very, very straightforward. And let's go ahead and get into combat and see what this looks like. Right now we don't have a way to select what list we are on, what command we are on, but it might display. Okay, so you see shoot and pass are way over there, so we actually don't want them to be that far out. And it's quite a distance between each of them. So we're going to make each and every one of these a lot smaller. Actually, maybe even a lot smaller than that. Probably even smaller than 1. Go ahead and change those values if you've already put those in there. Okay, attack, shoot, pass, right next to his head. You see that? So I like where it is. Let's see. We're moving with his body. You see that? So we're moving relative to where his head is. What we could do is we could make this relative to his root position. Let's try that. Let's try changing this to his root position. I want you guys to see what happens here. Sorry, having controller issues. And let's see. What'll happen is it'll be relative to his root position now. See, now we're looking a little better. I like where that is a lot more. See, it's right next to him. Now we have this guy's speed like really, really high. So the next thing that we want to do is make it so we can actually cycle through that list, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to make a new variable. Each time we enter, each time it becomes our turn, this value is going to equal 1, but it is going to be called, let's say, attack, or let's see, selected. We'll start with command just so it's alphabetized, but command selected. Okay? Command selected equals 1. Now we're going to have this line of code right here. We're going to say when command selected is equal to what command? What that means is if we're on attack and command is also command selected is also attack, it's going to do this line of code to that. And what we'll say is we'll say display, and right now what we'll do is we'll do just a sphere, okay, a circle, sorry, and we'll go over to our heart and we'll say actually what we can do is we can just do a square, and we'll just make it like a bar behind it, okay? So display square at world position, we'll say root position plus command menu plus command line spacing. Okay, so when this is our selected, when command selected is currently what command, so if we're on, it'll be attack first, that'll display this square, and we'll put let's do a height of 1, or we'll do a height of, actually, let's say 0.5, and we'll do a width of 1.5, okay? And we're just going to try this out. You can try whatever you want. You can use put a circle to the left of it. You can put a square behind it, whatever you'd like to do. But I'm going to make this square, we'll leave it white, and we are going to make it opaque. And we're just going to say opacity of 0.75, okay? With an opacity of 0.75 at world position, root, basically saying at the same position as this. What we want to do, however, is we want to make these prioritized. This has a priority of 10, and this one is going to have a priority of 9. Basically saying this line of code, our bar will be behind that line of code. Now, I'm not going to test this yet, but trust me that what this is going to do is put a square behind whatever our selected command is. It'll only do this once. It'll only do this for one of these for each of loops, because command selected can only be one number. So let's go above this for each of loop, and we're going to say command selected on the do side. But what we want is when left stick up direction, we'll say started to, that way it can't keep toggling. When started to left stick up direction, or you know what we'll do? We'll do D-pad. That way we can do press. Started to D-pad up direction pressed. You can use D-pad, you can even use the bumper if you want. But what we're wanting to do is we're wanting to give this select command a way to change, okay? For us to tell our project, our code, what command selected is. So when up direction is pressed, we're actually going to be decrementing the value of our select command. The reason why is if you think about the list, if it's from top to bottom 1, 2, 3, when we're going down our number is getting bigger, when we're going up our number is getting smaller, okay? So incremented when we press down, decremented when we press up. And just like before, we are not going to use a clamp function for this. What we are going to do is we're going to say when command selected greater than, when it's greater than what value? List size. So basically right now when it becomes 4, when command selected becomes 4, command selected is going to equal 1. And we want to do the inverse of that. When command selected is less than 1, command selected is going to equal list size. We're not going to use clamp because what we want to do is when we go too low, or think visually. When you're looking at the list, if you're on the top line, when you press the up button, we want it to jump down to the very bottom line. If you're on the very bottom line and you push the down button, we want it to jump to the very top of the list. So we're cycling through it as if it is an actual, an organic list that we can go through. So all of this here is going to let us decide what command we choose. See, we have that here. We can obviously resize our square. We obviously want to, but now we can choose. Now, we don't have it so when you press A, like right now I'm on shoot, but when I press A, I'm still going to do an auto attack, okay? You see that? That's because right now what we have for the page changing system is when we press certain buttons, we do these actions. But check this out. We're gonna move this pressed A and we're gonna delete all these lines of codes, okay? So this pressed A right here, put it wherever you want. We're going to put it right here. When A is pressed, switch page. What page are we switching to? Check this out. Check out how we set this up. I'm excited about this. Command is going to equal attack, shoot, or pass. We have this calling this end turn right now. We're going to rename this page to pass. Okay, you can call it whatever you want. Okay, you can call these whatever you want. If you don't want to, later on we're going to change this shoot to a skill, and the character will actually shoot if they have a ranged weapon, or they'll physically attack if they have a melee weapon. But right now, what we want to do is we changed this to pass, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to change end turn. Anytime it says end turn, we're going to change it to pass, okay? This is important that we do this. If you change yours from end turn, it is important that anytime it is switching to page end turn, that it is now changed to pass, okay? So now what we have is we have this here. We need to change this. When A button is pressed, switch page command. Whatever command is, we'll switch to that page, right? So let's go ahead and do one more thing. We're going to change the size of that square just because it didn't really look too pretty, let's be honest. We're going to change its opacity to 0.5. You can just fidget with this as you if you would like. We're going to say 0.2 height, or how about maybe even smaller, maybe a 0.15 height. And then the width, I thought the width was okay, but we'll go back to a width of 1, okay? And we have our line, and we can use it to give our characters commands. Let's see, what do I want to do? I want to pass. Oh, right now it's is still functioning as if as if everything's attack essentially. So let's see why. Okay, because command, we need to put this in here. Sorry, guys. Command is basically, it's constantly changing. So yeah, you want to put your you need to put that line of code inside of the restriction. So in here, basically when we have this A is pressed, we're saying you can press A no matter what. Here we want to say you can only press A when we are selecting this line of code. So command will it'll only know what command is basically after pressing A. when command selected is equal to that certain command. Okay, so just move that line of code. I'm going to show you where it was. It was down here. That's not good. It's inside of this for each of loop. So it's basically changing every frame. And it's going to end up being attack essentially every time. But we want to go inside of this here. Okay, A is pressed needs to be child to select command selected equals what command. Okay, so now we have our combat system. Let's do one more thing. We're gonna actually lower this goofy dude's attack speed. His attack speed is like super high. We'll make it just a little slower than what this character is actually. I think it has to do with our agility. Agility of 17. What's his agility? Agility of 200. Yeah, we're not going to do that. We're going to say agility of 15, and we're going to change his strength also to, how about 12? You can change his stats to whatever you want. It's totally up to you, but lower them just for, well, you don't have to, I guess, but I would lower them just to test it based on the balances that we have so far. So everybody's stats will go up. Looks like the monsters will get to act first. All right, they are choosing to attack. And now it is our character on the bottom left. It is her turn. And we'll say she's going to shoot. Okay. And right now the shoot command is just, it's not using the enemy select. And oh yeah, it's right stick. It's not using the enemy select function. So shoot is just going to attack whoever. But we can add that at a later time. Shoot is going to be the same mechanic as a standard general attack. So we can go through all of this, all of these fights here. You see their HP is slowly dwindling. You see our characters kicking butt. That character was deleted, and you'll see here that it's working just as we had hoped for. And yeah, that's it. So the next time, what we'll probably do is we'll basically make attack and shoot both under the attack category. We'll know what type of weapon our character is holding. We'll say if he's holding a melee weapon or no weapon at all, he'll auto attack, he'll physical attack. If he's holding a ranged weapon, then he will shoot. And that second line shoot, we'll actually change it to a skill command or a magic command, and we'll create spells and stuff at a way later time. But the next episode, we will make the attack command shoot or melee attack based on what your current weapon is. Anyway, thanks for hanging out, guys, and hope you enjoy.